season has reached the midway mark. Tonight at the Knapp Center in Des Moines, Illinois State battles Drake for undisputed second place and perhaps a share of first. With Adam Emmenecker, I'm Larry Morgan. Let's take a quick look at the Missouri Valley Conference standings, Adam, because this game really is significant tonight.
Yeah, how about both these teams battling out for second place in this league? And they both got to it kind of in a different position, right, Larry? I think for the Drake Bulldogs, a lot of upside surprise. Preseason pick 9th. For the Illinois State Redbirds, this is a team that had high expectations going into the season. They're just starting to hit their full stride.
And so Loyola is home tonight with Northern Iowa. Should they get beat, the winner of this team actually ties for first.
Yeah, that's it. You know, the Valley games, especially as we hit that cornerstone of the season, we're getting through that halfway point. It's a jumbled mess. Every team finding a way to differentiate themselves at the top of the standings.
Let's check out our impact players.
Yeah, and we got two great ones to watch in this game. On the left side, you see Malik Yarborough. You talk about it all the time. Top 5 in the league in points, assists, and rebounds. It's just everything on the offensive end for this team, and is playing really well as a senior. On the other end of the spectrum, DJ Wilkins has really stepped up, coming off a game in his home state in Indiana where he had 20 at Valpo. Shoots it really well in the Knapp Center. Expect threes to be flying from both these two tonight.
The Redbirds at 12-9, coached by Dan Muller in his 7th year. 10-2 his record against the Drake Bulldogs, 137-89, his overall mark in 7 seasons at Illinois State. On the Bulldog bench is Darren DeVries, who has the 5th most wins already of any first-year head coach, with the Bulldogs now at 16-5. They've won 4 in a row, and the last time they won 5 in a row in the Valley was the 2009-2010 season. Antonio Petty, Jeff Malum, and Tyler Kump are the officials, and we are underway with Illinois State getting the opening tap.
Yeah, we see the starters here for Illinois State. A couple of guys to watch. Phil Fain, Keyshawn Evans, seniors as well to support Malik Yarborough. Both of those guys, outside and inside presences, can score a lot of points in a hurry.
Keyshawn Evans, who got off to a slow start this year, scoring with the first shot of the game. The Bulldogs quickly down court, led by point guard Noah Thomas. Tries to feed McGlynn, the pass a little bit too strong.
And Noah Thomas, definitely a guy to watch in this matchup after Nick Norton was injured earlier in the season, stepping into that pure point guard role. Whether he can facilitate effectively or not is a big key for this Bulldog group.
And, of course, Nick Norton, a familiar name for those watching in the central Illinois area because he played at Bloomington Central Catholic until his senior year. Noah Thomas on the point for the Bulldogs. Illinois State opens in a man-to-man defense, but they will also mix in some zone.
Yeah, Coach Dan Muller, mostly a man-to-man guy, likes to get out and try to pressure the basketball and defend, but he's not scared to go zone. He likes to keep the offense off balance and keep them guessing.
With the shot clock at 8, Noah Thomas misses, and the rebound is taken by Matt Chastain.
And this is the guy to watch, Malik Yarborough. He's got a great combination of size, quickness, and part of what I really like about him, you know, he's 6'5", 6'6". He's got great court vision, and you see the versatility. He can go down there and post up. He can also knock shots down from deep.
Noah Thomas was guarding him on that trip down the floor. Thomas in deep. He can't score. And thus far, the shooting is cold as the weather outside. It did not get above 0 today in Des Moines, Iowa. The high was a -5. Yarborough looking for the first basket of the ball game, and no one has scored yet. Tramel Murphy averaging almost 10 points a game for the Bulldogs, who have very balanced scoring. They lead the league in scoring at 78 points per game. Bulldogs trying a little patience now. McGlynn turns around, faces Phil Fain, tries to get around him, called for the double dribble.
Yeah, good call by the official there. It looks like McGlynn kind of had a gather dribble as he caught that basketball in the post, and you see what Coach Dan Muller is going to do. They're going to double McGlynn down there. He's a tough matchup. He's a guy that's making his case to be a first-team all-league performer and has showed a prowess for scoring in there around the block. Coach Dan Muller wanting to keep him as far away from the hoop as possible.
Fain with a catch, a turn, and a miss. And the rebound is taken by DJ Wilkins, coming off a career-best 20 points at Valparaiso on Saturday. That win by Drake at Valparaiso, 70-59. Again, marked their 4th in a row. Hottest team in the Valley. Tramel Murphy into the lane. Nice fake to get past Phil Fain and score the first basket of the ball game.
Yeah, that's something Tramel Murphy, the coach Darren DeVries and his staff, they want to see him do more. They want to see if he can post up, get a little bit of a mismatch on the block, and use his quickness. He's got a really nifty spin on the interior. You saw Phil Fain kind of expecting that. He goes the other way with a nice jump hook.
Yarbrough gets it back to Fain. He drives the lane. Is challenged by McGlynn, who gets the block. And it's out of bounds off Drake. Illinois State will play it. And both teams have a reduced bench tonight. For the Bulldogs, Liam Robbins is out with a concussion. He won't play tonight. For Illinois State, Matt Hine has a broken bone in his hand they just discovered today. He will not play tonight. And Josh Jefferson missing his third ball game because of a collarbone injury.
Yeah, and that's part of, as you get into midseason, that's part of what happens. It's not only you have to be good, you have to be a little bit lucky with injuries as well. And, you know, for both these teams, I think part of what you do in the offseason, you're training to get the next guy up, to make sure that somebody's able, as we see Keyshawn Evans with the smooth jumper. He's a guy that can score a bunch of points in a hurry. We've seen that throughout his career, but a lot of guys are going to get an opportunity throughout the season. That's why you need a deep roster and a deep bench.
McGlynn facing the double team, trying to get out of difficulty. He turns, fires, and scores. Nick McGlynn has had an outstanding senior year. Fourth in the league in scoring at 16 points a game, and in Valley play, #1 in rebounding at over 9 per game.
And the patience that time, taking on the double team, looking to pass out, just handling the basketball with pressure. That's part of what you see out of a mature senior like Nick McGlynn.
Ray Adowu is an early entry into the lineup for Illinois State. Chastain kept it alive. Zach Copeland scores.
Yeah, Copeland's been such a big ad for this team, a junior college transfer coming in. This is the first year he's had a chance to play, gotten into double figures on the season. And, you know, he's just been a steady Eddie in the backcourt and a guy that can score points. He's not afraid of the big moment either. He'll knock down shots in the clutch.
DJ Wilkins looking for three and nailing his 49th three of the season. Shoots him at 41% to propel Drake to a three-point lead.
And it seems like when he's in the Knapp Center, DJ Wilkins is just another guy. He shot it well on the road, too, but, man, he has been hot in the friendly confines of the Knapp Center.
Evans for three. Ellingson gets the tip on the rebound. In deep, McGlynn. Nick McGlynn, 2 quick baskets for the Bulldogs, and they open a 9-4 advantage.
How about the big fella running the floor, getting out in transition? That's what Coach Dan Muller wanted his team to do. Don't give any transition baskets up. We can't give anything easy. Drake doing a good job getting out in transition, either their primary or secondary break, and getting buckets.
Zach Copeland finds an open Malik Yarbrough. Noah Thomas has the rebound for the Bulldogs. Drake out rebounding opponents by 2 per game. Illinois State being out rebounded by about a rebound a game. That in overall statistics. Thomas for three. The Bulldogs are a team that really shoots the three ball well at home. And they've hit 3 in a row to open a 12-4 lead. 14:50 left in the first half. The Bulldogs hot behind the arc. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Dan Muller forced to call a timeout as the Bulldogs hit back-to-back threes and open up an 8-point lead. Let's take a look at our keys to the game, Adam.
Yeah, for the Redbirds, start with sizzle. So this is a team, when they're leading at the half, they're 11-0. When they start well, it really carries them forward. They've won 3 out of 4, their first conference road win at Evansville. They need to get off to a good start against a high-octane offense, and they got to get back. We've seen the transition defense struggling a little bit early on. That's one of the things Coach Dan Muller really harps on. And for the Bulldogs, their MVC group, they've won 4 in a row, including 2 road games. They got to try to keep that momentum going in this one and stay in control. When they have less turnovers than their opponents, the same or less turnovers, they're 8-0. So when they keep control of the basketball and they're sharing it, they can be really good offensively. We've seen that through the first 5 minutes here, Larry.
Bulldogs have been outstanding at home. They are 9-1. Illinois State, on the other hand, 1-6 on the road. The 1 road victory at Evansville. William Tinsley has come onto the floor for Illinois State. At the timeout as Zack Copeland commits the turnover.
And that's something that'll drive a coach nuts, just because the kind of those careless turnovers. Even though it wasn't a live ball turnover that led to a run out, that's something Coach Dan Muller had a set drawn up. He wants to see his guys execute.
Anthony Murphy in for Drake along with Antonio Filipovic. Filipovic is going to see more playing time tonight because Liam Roberts, who normally would be in that position, out with a concussion. Malik Yarborough doing what he does very well, spinning and scoring.
And Malik Yarborough saw the big fella coming in off the bench and just started licking his chops. He was ready to attack him, and you see just that nice, sweet spin move, and he's so long and has a quick bounce off the ground, tough to defend.
Anthony Murphy, the twin brother of Tremel Murphy, leaving it short. Off the ball, there's a foul.
Yeah, it looked like incidental contact there for Anthony Murphy. He was trying to cut into Phil Fain, just kind of clipped the back of his heel. Both players kind of slapped hands, everything in good shape as Fain goes down there in transition.
And that's the first foul called in the ball game.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of flow back and forth, hasn't it?
There certainly has been. Darren DeVries feels he really needs to have his team play well in transition to be successful tonight. Bill Fain draws the double team. Keyshawn Evans fires. Anthony Murphy with the carom.
And Keyshawn Evans, a guy that was around 15, 16 points a game in his junior season, under 10 so far this year, had an injury to start off the season and has never really been right. He struggled from distance, which is really unusual for him. He's normally a knockdown shooter.
William Tinsley got the rebound for Illinois State. He averages almost 4 rebounds a game, and that's number 3 on the squad. Basically, it's Fain and Yarbrough that do the rebounding work. Evans taking a lot of shots early in this one. Nothing going there. Shot clock down to 5. Zack Copeland with 2 on the shot clock as it roll in.
And Copeland is a shot creator. That's a really tough shot, right, Larry? That's pretty good defense for all of that 30-second shot clock, but Zack Copeland just rising up and knocking it down from deep. Sometimes when your team's struggling on offense, you need one of those to get going.
Redbirds score the first 5 points after that timeout to shave an 8-point lead down to 3 for Drake. Ellingson slips it underneath, and the score by Filipovic. The sophomore from Cologne, Germany, who's seen very limited playing time. He's averaged less than 2.5 minutes a game in conference play, but again, slated for more tonight because of the injury to Robbins.
And Brady Ellingson, not known as a guy that's going to attack a ton off the bounce, did a pretty good job creating for his teammate there.
Filipovic knocks that out of bounds, and a change in the lineup for Illinois State. As coming in is Isaac Glassman. Glassman is a sophomore from Ottawa, Illinois.
And Illinois State making a concerted effort to go inside and attack Filipovic as he's in the game. We've seen Fain from the left block that time on the right block, and Yarborough off his spin move. Filipovic doing a pretty good job, especially against Fain, bodying up, taking the contact without fouling.
Again, Filipovic, very limited playing time this season. Yarborough takes him to the rack and misses the shot. And Murphy's got his second rebound, that being Anthony Murphy. Anthony Murphy playing with a lot more confidence of late. Had a big game the other day at Valparaiso when he got 11 points. Filipovic gets his defender into the air, pulls it back outside. Shot clock at 10. Wilkins trying to work around the Filipovic screen. Kick for an open Garrett Sturts, who just came in. With 2 on the shot clock, he misses. Filipovic keeps it alive.
And that's what you're looking for. If you're one of the guys, looks like Garrett Sturts, they caught him stepping on the sideline there. When Filipovic comes in, you want him to bring energy.
And that brings us to a break with 11:35 left to play in the first half. Drake with the lead of 5. You're watching the Valley on ESPN.
School's canceled. You know you got kids hanging out in the dorms. They're not going to be outside. When it's minus 40 wind chill, you're going to spend as much time inside as possible. Send buses over there, get them out here. There's nothing better than a great atmosphere for a college basketball game. Really happy with what the Drake Athletic Department did to encourage these kids to come out. And boy, the students are getting into it today, Larry.
They really are. And by the way, not a bad showing for the season ticket holders, considering the fact that the thermometer barely reached minus 5 today. Yarborough hits the turnaround, and he's got his second basket. Illinois State has not led in this game, trailed early by 8, but pulled back to within 3.
It looks like switching to his own defense here. Looking to see if Malik Yarborough starts to get a little more aggressive on the offensive end, just trying to create, get in the lane, whether it's for himself or his teammates.
Nick McGlynn has come back in for the Bulldogs at the timeout. Shot clock down to 7. Beautiful fade, but Anthony Murphy cannot finish it.
Oh boy, and Anthony Murphy out for blood on the baseline. How about the dime up top from DJ Wilkins, and Anthony Murphy attacking the rim with a vengeance. Watch this. He misses that dunk. Did you see that ball, Larry? He was attacking the rim so hard, that thing went almost up in the rafters off the rim. I like the aggressiveness from the junior college transfer, Anthony Murphy.
And so Murphy will go to the line where he is a 75% free throw shooter. Got 12 points against Valparaiso on Saturday after scoring an average of 3.4 over the past 9 games. But his confidence is suddenly up, according to Darren DeVries, and it's paying off.
And he's a guy that this coaching staff has been really happy with his effort, both rebounding and on the defensive end. He brings an athleticism in and an energy off the bench to come in and get stops. He's been doing that all year, but to see that added scoring punch is really helpful for this coaching staff.
Chastain in for Illinois State.
There they go, ISO on Yarborough again, trying to get him the basketball in a scoring position.
Pass intended for Adowo. Knocked out by Drake. Phil Fain back onto the court. He is 5th in the Valley in scoring, averaging 15 points a game, pulls down 6 rebounds. Outstanding offensive rebounder. Evans, nice feed inside to Yarborough, but it's knocked out of his hands. 11 seconds for the Redbirds to shoot with 10:39 to go in the first half. Yarborough directs traffic. Nice job inside to find Fain. Fain misses the shot. McGlynn's there for the rebound.
Pretty good recovery that time by Nick McGlynn. Thought he might have gotten a little bit of contact and fouled Fain, but did a good job making sure to get to that spot and not give an uncontested layup.
Good hustle by Chastain to keep it in bounds.
And both teams doing a pretty good job now getting back in transition now, and a little air on a switch. Too late that time as the Bulldogs were not talking. Good recognition by Yarborough and Fain.
Fain had been in a bit of a slump lately, but he broke out of it big time on Saturday with 26 points. Got to the free throw line 12 times and hit 8 of them in the Redbirds' 76-62 win over Indiana State.
Yeah, that's probably the most improved part of Fain's game. He's always been a guy who shoots a high percentage around the rim, does a great job rebounding, but it's his free throw shooting that has been drastically improved. Just around 70% this year after hovering around 50 for the majority of his career.
McGlynn scores off the offensive rebound. McGlynn with an early 6 to lead the Bulldogs. Yarborough and Fain play catch outside. Evans looks for Fain. And a foul's called. And it's going to be against DJ Wilkins. That'll be his first. And it's the Bulldogs' second.
Pretty good help side defense rotating over. Just got a little too reach happy reaching in there. I thought Fain did a good job high pointing that basketball, making sure it wasn't a turnover and keeping possession with his team.
And as Evans starts to put the ball in play, one of the officials, Tyler Kump, steps in and straightens things out. Evans, the senior from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, had a big game against Indiana State Saturday as well. 17 points, 5 of 9 from the floor.
And he is always a threat, no matter where he has the basketball on the floor, especially as he starts heating up. He'll start backing up 2, 3, 4, 5 feet behind the three-point line. Such a quick little jitterbug with the basketball, can get in the lane, can facilitate as well. Really dangerous on the offensive side.
Tinsley a miss on the 3, and it's another Nick McGlynn rebound for Drake. Nice change of pace by Tremel Murphy to score.
And how about the upper body strength to be able to get through the defenders that time. Nice take and transition for Tremel Murphy.
Bulldogs build the lead back up to 6.
Those are the type of points that Coach Dan Muller drive him nuts, though. Once his defense is back and set, he wants them to stay solid and make sure that they don't allow anything easy going to the rim, as Phil Fain doing a good job hustling on the offensive side, drawing a foul.
Anthony Murphy gets his second foul. Again, the Bulldog bench is a bit short tonight. And so with Murphy drawing his second foul, he'll have to leave, and Noah Thomas comes back in. And Garrett Sturtz wasn't sure if he was supposed to leave the lineup.
It's funny, Larry, that doesn't happen very often. That's the second time this has happened in this game. One time on each team where one guy ran to the bench, the coach is saying no, 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 throwing the other guy out on the floor. So, you know, people forget there's a lot of production that goes into these games. There's a lot of preparation. It's an imperfect science. Sometimes things get pretty confused out on the floor.
Fain misses badly with a left-hand shot. Chastain pulls down the rebound. Evans will try.
And there you go. There's Keyshawn Evans. You give him open looks, he's going to knock down those open looks. So you look at his numbers on the year, only 33%. He's not a 33% shooter. He's a 40 to 45% three-point shooter on any normal night. He's going to knock those open looks down with regularity.
And there's a takeaway by Zack Copeland.
Looks like he got away with the little double dribble. Coach Darren DeVries and the whole Drake staff saw it. The officials running back was not in their line of sight.
Fain goes inside against McGlynn. Leaves it short. Thomas sneaks away with the rebound. Tramel Murphy.
Good take.
Call for the charge.
Good job getting in front, anticipating the move right in his chest. Textbook defense. 7:30
left to play in the first half. Drake has led all the way in this one by as many as 8. Right now they lead by 3. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Drake has a 19-16 lead over Illinois State. And one of the fun things in the Valley is how many head coaches in the Valley used to play in the league.
Yeah, really interesting. And we got 2 coaches in this game as well who actually played against each other. So you look across and, you know, a couple new faces there, right? Darren Ford and Dana Ford, and Darren DeVries. Porter Mosier obviously had a pretty successful run last year. He was a hot name across the coaching ranks. Glad to see he stayed at Loyola, and of course Dan Muller here at Illinois State. But funny to see these 2 coaches. They both still look like they could play.
They do, and I asked Dan Muller about playing against DeVries. He said, I hated to play against him. He said he was chippy, he was dirty, he had an edge to him. And then I asked DeVries what it was like to play against Muller, and he was a little more politically correct. He said, well, he was very competitive and very fiery, but I think basically they felt the same about each other. It was a great relationship, and they really enjoy it now, and they enjoy looking back on those days when they did battle each other.
Well, and you know, what I hear in that is that not only as we see Copeland knocking down the 3 from the outside there, as I think there was a mutual respect, right? When you hear them describing the other player, when you say a guy is fiery and dirty and gets after you, that's another way to say, I respect him.
Oh, yeah. McGlynn got the feed, and nice defense by Illinois State.
And a good help side coming back to come up with that block.
Redbirds tried to take their first lead of the night. They trailed early 12-4. Tinsley will try to get in that lead. The three-point shot not going down today for Illinois State. Redbirds now just 2 of 8 shooting the 3 ball, while the Bulldogs also not shooting it well, 2 of 7, and normally they shoot it pretty well. Wilkins back in. Garrett Sturtz leaves for Drake. Mentioned Drake 9-1 at home. They are 20-4 at home over the last 2 seasons. Second best winning percentage in the Valley to Loyola on their home court.
And such advantage. You know, we always talk about in this league, it's so difficult to win on the road, which means you have to take advantage of your home wins. And Drake's done a really good job under Coach Darren DeVries getting that done.
Thomas thought he spied an opening but couldn't finish it, and Ray Idowu is there for the rebound.
I thought Noah Thomas looking for the foul there. The Redbirds did a really good job showing their hands on the defensive side, using their body, using their feet to play defense to avoid a foul call.
Evans gets it into Idowu, but it's blocked by McGlynn. Nick McGlynn has done so many things well offensively, but defensively, he comes up with blocks, and this year has avoided fouling.
That's what I was just going to say, Larry. He's done a great job in this game, too. Fain has went at him. That time it was Idowu, as we see what Nick McGlynn gets headlines for, which is his ability to get to the rim and finish. But the Illinois State Redbirds have done a good job trying to attack the senior, trying to attack Nick McGlynn out there on the block. McGlynn, though, has been a force to be reckoned with, picked up a couple blocks. That time, Malik Yarborough, a little too cheeky for him.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there's nothing that Illinois State would like more than to get McGlynn in foul problems.
Yes,
they have been attacking him, and he's just been playing very intelligent basketball, been aggressive, and yet has not fouled. Ray Ellingson tries to find Noah Thomas, and the turnover will give it back to the Redbirds with 5:06 to play in the first half. Matt Chastain back onto the court. Ray Adowu will check out for Dan Muller's team. Gray guilty of 6 first-half turnovers. Illinois State turned it over twice early and hasn't since.
Yeah, they've done a better job. Illinois State has on the offensive end. And it's been a lot of Malik Yarborough handling the basketball, getting it down on the block, facilitating, and this other guy, Copeland, knocking down shots from deep.
Yeah, Copeland has already come up with a couple of threes. Has 8 points in this one. Speaking of a guy who can stroke the three, nobody doing it better in the Missouri Valley Conference than Brady Ellingson, who's hit 56% of his threes in conference play. Timeout with 4:47 left to play in the first half. We're going to keep it here with the Bulldogs up by 3.
Yeah, and what's the difference for the Bulldogs? It's getting out in transition, and watch this one. So we see DJ Wilkins coming up for the ball. So flashing through your screen, you didn't see him. Tremel Murphy was the one that made that play. Now, you might be asking me, how did Tremel Murphy make that play? He didn't have the basketball. He didn't shoot it, but it was his effort and his hustle sprinting up the floor that drew the defense, allowing DJ Wilkins to pass it up to one of the hottest shooters in the Valley, Brady Ellingson, knocking that one down.
And it was something that Dan Muller didn't like about that because he immediately called a timeout and has used 2 of his allotted 4.
And part of what he wants his guys to know and understand, you got to sprint back at all times, especially when you play a good shooting team. If you let them see the ball go through the hoop open, they're going to start to build a lot more confidence. That's going to make your half-court defense even that much more difficult. You really have to limit looks to the best of your ability.
Fain works against Antonio Pilipovic. Isaac Gassman back on the court for Illinois State. Copeland fires, and he has been red hot.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it? He's coming up, rising up. Drake defenders did a pretty good job. Copeland, just better offense.
But the Bulldogs on transition get a basket from Trell Murphy and an and one.
He's been aggressive, hasn't he, Larry? Going downhill, driving to the bucket. We've seen him do it from the right wing here, doing it from the left wing, attacking kind of off that secondary break. One of the things Coach Darren DeVries wants to do, not just push off of misses or turnovers, push off of makes. Try to get the basketball up the floor as quickly as you can, attack the rim, make sure the defense sprints back at all times.
That's just the second foul called against Illinois State. Tremel Murphy has struggled at the foul line, just 56%. Statistical oddity, Tremel Murphy has scored 11 points his last 4 games, 11 each in the last 4.
Consistency.
Indeed. We near the 4-minute mark in the first half as Copeland works it inside. It's knocked away by Tremel Murphy. Very athletic player is Murphy and does a good job at the defensive end of the court. Gassman trying to keep it alive but can't.
Now, how about the great hustle, both teams. Heck of a play by Gassman, cutting that one off. And Tremel Murphy, the stick-to-itiveness to get it back.
And so he calls the timeout. Drake will have the basketball with just under 4 to play when we return to the Knapp Center. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Welcome back to the Knapp Center, where the Redbirds and the Bulldogs playing for at least undisputed second place in the Valley, depending on what happens with Northern Iowa and Loyola. Should Northern Iowa win against Loyola, then the winner of this ball game would have a share of first place.
Yeah, really important for both these two teams, too, as you start getting into the second half of the league. You know, once you get through the gamut and you play every team once, now you come back and cycle through a second time. You really want to make sure you're building momentum coming through those games. And what you're looking for as a coach at the end of January, getting into now as we get into January, beginning of February, this is when you want to start peaking. This is when you want to play your best basketball and really have your team hitting on all cylinders.
The Bulldogs hitting 52% of their shots to this point, while the Redbirds are at 36%. But they have taken 7 more shots than has Drake. Therefore, just a 3-point differential. Nick McGlynn starring early for the Bulldogs with 8 points, 4 rebounds, and a block. Brady Ellingson, who leads the conference with 3-point percentage and 3-point makes, will try another one, and this one does not get the bounce, and Yarborough pulls down the rebound. Payne Yarborough, Evans on the court for Illinois State. Gassman also out there. And Evans rings home a 3 to tie the score.
Keyshawn Evans, never scared with the ball in his hands. That's 8 points already for him. 2 knockdown threes. He is dangerous every time he has the leather in his hands.
4th tie. Murphy backing in, makes contact. Offensive foul going to be called on Tremel Murphy.
Well, that time Tremel Murphy a little unhappy with the call. You know, it's interesting. I thought he did lead with the shoulder. I thought the official was correct, and I think they're going to look for that contact with the elbow just to double check with the monitor there. Normally what you see, if they're going to call an offensive foul, that defensive player kind of takes it into their chest and falls down. Phil Fain staying strong that time, continued to play tough defense as we see the officials heading over to the monitor, taking a look, making sure that it wasn't a flagrant.
Of course, Murphy 6'6", Fain 6'9", would have been quite a reach.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, Larry, you bring up a good point. Had this gone the exact opposite way, had it been Fain going against Murphy, it could have been a flagrant foul. So we're going to take a look at it here, and look, he moves in, and I think they're going to say that's just a common foul or an offensive foul on Tremel Murphy. But like you mentioned, had it gone the other way, purely because of size, not anything different, because in the case of action, it could have been a flagrant foul.
Good point. Illinois State has not led in this game. It's been tied 4 times. Bulldogs have led by as many as 8, but Illinois State looks for their first lead. This is their second possession with the chance to take the lead. They look for Fain, who does a nice job catching a pass on his fingertips. Goes inside of McGlynn to score. What a move by Phil Fain.
And I thought he got hit in the head. I thought that could have been a foul on Nick McGlynn. As Phil Fain, the dipsy-do, the up and under, so tough with that left hand. You see how they're playing him defensively. They're trying to make him go to his right hand, and Phil Fain has such a strong left hand, so good at finishing on that side, continues to stick with that right shoulder.
McGlynn tries to get around Yarborough. Shot clock at 7. Pull up by Wilkins won't go. Wilkins hot the other night against Valparaiso. That's not the story tonight. And the referee, Antonio Petty, stumbling over a photographer down there. He's okay.
And the students very quick to make sure that they held the official up. You saw 4 or 5 students behind him making sure to hold him up, and just all smiles from the crowd. That's why you heard the cheers.
And now Petty suggests the photographer slide back a little bit, get off the court. And that's probably a good decision.
Probably.
Ellingson goes inside. Fain tries to tie him up and gets the tie, gets the jump. And the ball on the possession arrow stays in the Bulldog end with 2:23 to go in the first half.
Yeah, good defense that time by Phil Fain, grabbing that basketball strong with 2 hands, not allowing Ellingson to get the ball up to the rim.
Fain, second-team All-Conference last year, first-team All-Conference preseason this year. McGlynn again draws the double team. Murphy still working it into McGlynn. He fires long, and the rebound into the hands of Zack Copeland. Copeland comes around the screen of Fain, runs into a Bulldog double team. Redbirds playing with the lead for the first time tonight. And as you mentioned, when they lead at the half, they're undefeated, and Yarborough makes it a 4-point lead with his 8th point of the first half.
And wow, it's not going to show up a ton as a highlight, but that is a big-time play from Yarborough, shedding a defender on the perimeter, showing the quickness, powering through a big fella at the rim. That's what makes him special.
Wilkins knocks down the shot, his second bucket.
Yeah, DJ Wilkins has been pretty quiet. They're going to need his offense to keep pace with the Redbirds. See if we get another touch for Yarborough here.
Wilkins with just 1 out of 4 prior to that make. Yarborough against the much shorter Anthony Murphy. Fain underneath, where he's pretty unstoppable when he catches the ball there.
And a nice pass that time for Copeland. Pretty good ball movement. It shows you all the attention Yarborough attracts. Really makes the defense shift the way they play.
Wilkins with the drive, does not get the bounce, and Chastain's got the rebound for the Redbirds.
And it's been a good close to this first half thus far by the Redbirds, hasn't it? Doing a good job getting into that leading territory, and it looks like they've been a little bit tired, a little lackadaisical on the offensive end, willing to run some shot clock, but playing hard on D.
Evans with a miss, and he hasn't missed many tonight, and the Bulldogs have it with 32 seconds to go in the first half, and the shot clock, of course, at 30, so a 2-second differential there.
And we already saw a number of timeouts. It's trying to figure out what's going on here, why the players are headed to the bench. We've already seen both these coaches call a timeout. A lot of times you'd see with 30 seconds left, they use it or lose it timeout. Looks like they're attending to Phil Fain. Might have a little bit of blood either on his arm or on his jersey.
So the official's timeout.
Oh, on his mouth it looks like.
Oh, yeah. And the Redbird trainer taking a look and trying to stop that.
A little bit of a dental check here at 30 seconds to go in the first half. Phil Fain came out clean.
And that being taken care of, he comes back out onto the court. Bulldogs have Garrett Sturtz back onto the floor, a freshman from Newton, Iowa. Led the state in scoring a year ago. And Thomas along the back line, McGlynn, Wilkins, and Ellingson up front. Brady Ellingson, who averages almost 11, held to just 3 points just far. And the Bulldogs, who average 78 points a game, held below 30 thus far.
And willing to run some clock here, trying to make this the last shot, not give the Redbirds a chance on the offensive end.
And McGlynn comes high to set the screen, and up top the foul called on Copeland.
Yeah, smart play. Only 2 team fouls now. 3 team fouls on the Redbirds, so they have fouls to give. So what are they going to do? They're going to disrupt the flow with this Drake offense. Noah Thomas starts to go with 9 seconds. He gets fouled. So now every time, watch to see if they do this 1 or 2 or 3 more times to try to prevent Drake from getting any baskets.
Wilkins tries to make a move on Chastain. He spins, fires over him. It's in and out. Yarborough grabs the rebound as the half comes to an end. And Illinois State, 11-0 when they lead at the half, has a 4-point lead at halftime. Our halftime score, Illinois State 32 and Drake 28. As the Bulldogs led early by 8, Illinois State did not lead till late in the half, and now they lead by 4. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Redbirds with a 4-point halftime lead. Let's quickly revisit our keys to the game, Adam.
Well, start with sizzle. We were talking about this Illinois State team, 11-0 when leading at the half. Well, so far, got a 4-point lead, did a pretty good job. Their transition defense struggled at times, but they did enough. They made sure to get back and limit Drake's looks. For Drake, we talked about keep with that MVC groove, keep their momentum going after winning 4 straight. They've struggled a little bit at times defending this 4-headed monster right now of the Redbirds and stay in control. They're good when they have the same or less turnovers than their opponents. Right now, Drake 7 turnovers, 3 Illinois State. So the Bulldogs have a little catching up to do on some of their keys in the second half.
Zack Copeland, the leading Redbird scorer at halftime with 10 points on 2 out of 3 3-point shots, 4 of 6 overall. Bulldogs being paced by Nick McGlynn's 8 points, 4 rebounds. He's also blocked a couple of shots. Very few fouls called in that first half. In fact, the Redbirds didn't get to the foul line. Bulldogs got there 3 times and made just 1 of them. Both teams back to their starting lineup. Yarborough tries to go inside against Tramel Murphy.
Nice
Instead
fake.
goes back outside. Fain is there for the cleanup.
And that's something we didn't see a lot. An uncontested layup going in either direction. That time, Phil Fain cleaning up the glass. Nice fake by Malik Yarborough. You see how tough he is to defend because of the versatility and variety of moves he has, not only on the perimeter, but also in the post.
Redbirds have their biggest lead. Wilkins to Murphy, little 2-man game. Tramel Murphy spins around Yarborough, leaves it way short, and the rebound taken by Fain. Matt Chastain brings it to the top.
And, you know, Chastain's a guy we haven't talked about a ton, but I really like what he does. He played almost 16 minutes in the first half, and he's a hustle guy. He's a glue guy, so he's not a guy that needs 15 or 20 shots in a game or even 5 shots in a game to contribute. He's a really good athlete, a sneaky good athlete. He can shoot it well from the perimeter. He's about 45% from 3, so he can knock down the open one, makes the defense respect him. But he plays hard, plays really well on the defensive end, sets screens, and really sets up his teammates well.
Wilkins forcing Copeland into a turnover, so it's Drake possession. Little give and go to Murphy, and he gets fouled.
A nice set drawn up that time by Coach Darren DeVries, having Tremel Murphy slip the screen. Watch this. So he comes up. The Redbirds think Tremel Murphy is going to come and set a screen, so they're in their screen and roll defense. He slips it, goes right to the rim, and a nice pass from DJ Wilkins. I thought Tremel Murphy got bailed out a little bit there. It didn't look like a ton of contact. Might have been a bit of a anticipatory call there by the official as he was attacking the rim.
He sinks the free throw to give him 7 points. 11 points, 8 rebounds the other night against Valparaiso, and as we mentioned earlier, it was the 4th game in a row that he had scored exactly 11 points. Murphy, the transfer from Florida Southwestern, 1 out of 2 at the foul line.
And there's Yarborough again, attacking hard with that left hand. When he goes left, he loves to finish with that right hand, inside hand, once he has a little bit of edge around the rim.
Elixir misfiring on the 3. Thomas goes for the steal. Yarborough does a nice job of constraining it, and then gets it inside to Payne. Wilkins tried to get in the passing lane and deflected, and he couldn't get to it.
And you mentioned it. It was in the backcourt. The dribble drive, the move by Yarborough, the nice pass and feint. That's a heck of a finish for a big fella in transition.
And it gives the Redbirds their biggest lead. McGlynn finds Murphy, but Murphy finds Fain. Fain's defense preventing that one. Yarborough for 3. A long rebound kicks to Thomas. Thomas trying to get around Keyshawn Evans.
Right, how about the defensive intensity picking up? We saw the block by Copeland as Tremel Murphy was going in with bad intentions, trying to attack the rim, and then getting back in transition. Both Copeland and Evans looked like that one might have been off Noah Thomas's knee, so fortuitous call there for the Drake Bulldogs.
DJ Wilkins looks to inbound, and Evans got tied up with Ellingson and committed the foul. So 2 early fouls against the Redbirds here to start this second half of play. Darren DeVries asked his team to get some motion. And Noah Thomas with a line drive basket. Thomas with his second bucket. Illinois State with a 7-point lead. And again, that moment ago, their biggest lead of the night. Drake with an early 8-point lead. Fain, nice catch against McGlynn. The pitch to Evans. He knocks down a 3.
And that's just not good enough rotation. If Tremel Murphy's going to come down and double that post, Keyshawn Evans is not a guy you want to leave at the top of the circle unattended.
Darren DeVries needs a Drake timeout as the Redbirds open a 10-point lead at the 3-minute into the second half mark, 17:03. Redbirds by 10. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. .03 left to play in regulation, and the Redbirds have opened their biggest lead of the night.
Yeah, getting a little bit of separation, doing it on the offensive side, but I think it's been their defensive aggressiveness that's really stifled this Drake offense here so far in the second half. Only 1 of 4 from the floor and 1 or 2 from the line. And when it's your inside-outside game, guys like Malik Yarborough can really take over on the offensive end. And when he draws attention, he's more than willing to kick it out to open shooters on the perimeter.
Yarborough, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, no turnovers, and a block so far for the Redbirds. He's playing, according to his coach, great basketball. Little problem with the knee injury, but it hasn't slowed him down too much. Fain with the tip away, and then Wilkins tries to grab it back and does, and he gets fouled by Fain.
And going back to Yarborough, I mean, this is a guy that's getting looks for NBA, professional basketball, whatever it is. He's got such a great opportunity to play basketball at the next level. Again, it's his versatility that's so tough. So he can shoot it. He's 40% from three on the year, which has improved over the course of his career. He can attack off the bounce, which he's already shown, and he can be your main ball handler. He can be the guy that's your point guard and your leading assist guy, and it's that versatility makes him so difficult to defend in this league.
Thomas on the miss, and the Redbirds get the basketball back and chance to extend that 10-point lead. They've outscored Drake 9-3 to begin the second half of play. Illinois State trying for just their second road win of the year and trying to hand the Bulldogs just their second home loss of the year. And that is just too easy as far as Drake is concerned, as Fain gets an easy basket on the lob from Chastain.
Yeah, really nice pass from Chastain. Right on time, right on target, giving Fain that easy two-handed flush. And again, the zone defense here for the Redbirds, making it difficult for Drake on the offensive side, getting a little stagnant.
Murphy misfires, looking for Noah Thomas. And the Bulldogs have turned it over now for the 8th time.
And watch this. Look at that. Look at the timing. Phil Fain on the inside reverses his footing, finds the spot to try to get the entry pass in from Chastain. Chastain does a great job understanding that timing, having the right arch on the basketball right into the breadbasket for Fain to go up and flush that one.
McGlenn and Thomas check out for the Bulldogs. Filipovic is in along with Sturts, and the Redbirds on a swath of turnovers give it back to Drake as a pass wide of Isaac Gaspin at a timeout taken by Drake with 15:55 left to play. The Bulldogs find themselves in arrears by 12 on their home court. The winner of this game alone in second place in the Valley. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Drake finds themselves in arrears on their home court, 43-31. There is the longtime voice of the Illinois State Redbirds. Dick Lutke has called their games now for 33 years. Tonight, he's calling his 999th game. He's going to be honored on Saturday, prior to the Loyola game, for calling his 1,000th Redbird game. Congratulations to Dick. Works with Mark Matthews. His brother Denny is in the Hall of Fame in baseball with the Kansas City Royals. But Dick Lutke, 1,000 broadcasts come Saturday. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations. And, you know, that's part of what makes this league so special, Larry. You have so many people, whether it's in broadcasting, whether it's in media, whether it's still working at these schools, that have been around for so long and seen the great, rich history of this league. Really fun to see.
Wilkins penetrates, nothing going. Filipovic working in place of McGlynn right now for the Bulldogs, who have found themselves outscored 11-3 to start the half, and the shooting for the Bulldogs misfiring in the second half. Gaspin grabs the long rebound for Illinois State.
And a little bit of stagnant offense that time from the Drake Bulldogs. Good zone defense by the Redbirds, continuing to mix it up and keep Drake off balance.
Drake in the second half just 1 out of 6 shooting the basketball. Fain turns on Filipovic.
Tough.
Murphy comes over to help, but too late.
Tough, yeah, good job anticipating that spin. I thought it was pretty good defense overall, just better offense for Phil Fain. He's a guy that's one of the leading field goal percentage guys in this league and has been consistently for the last few years. You see why there, really nifty with the finish.
He has 14 points tonight. Bulldogs execute well. Yarborough gets there, but gets there a little bit late, commits the foul.
And nice offense that time, better ball movement. When you're playing against a zone, if you get the basketball in the middle, everything else opens up. As you see, Yarborough got a little bit of hand for Anthony Murphy there, but Filipovic doing a good job facilitating for the middle of that zone. All the defense turns around and looks, allows shooters to get open up on the perimeter and back cutters to get something to the rim.
Anthony Murphy on the line. 2 out of 3 tonight from the stripe. Zack Copeland, who had a good first half for Illinois State, comes back in. Redbirds have 4 players in double figures already. Really good balance tonight for
Yeah,
Dan Muller's squad.
4 players in double figures. No one else has scored. And how about your last name has to be Murphy if you're going to shoot free throws in this game? Apparently, it's only been Trammell and Anthony Murphy, the twins, that have gotten trips to the charity stripe.
And how many Murphys on the Redbird squad?
I haven't seen any yet.
And how many free throws have they shot?
0.
You haven't seen any yet. Yarbrough attacks. Wilkins got the rebound.
Man, looks like they're going to get Malik Yarbrough for that foul. So he picked up 2 back-to-back possessions. Just missed that one. That's a heck of a take. Just unable to finish. And DJ Wilkins did a good job coming from the perimeter, grabbing that rebound with 2 hands.
Illinois State 5th foul of the second half. The Bulldogs no fouls in the second half.
And still 14 and a half to play. So Drake just 2 fouls away from bonus.
Redbirds stick with the zone. Over the zone, DJ Wilkins leaves it short. Fight for the loose basketball, and a foul call on Illinois State, and the Redbirds scrap, and they got Phil Fain, and that's his 3rd.
Yeah, so now 3 on Phil Fain, 2 on Malik Yarbrough. So after pretty much no foul trouble, no difficulty in the first half, a couple of Redbirds starting to tick them up. And as you mentioned, Larry, 16 fouls, 0 so far called against the Bulldogs in this one.
Ray Adowu, the freshman from Melbourne, Florida, checks back onto the floor for Illinois State. Wilkins trying to get around the defensive Gassman. Nothing going there. Shot clock down to 7. Redbirds really doing a nice job in this zone, aren't they?
Yeah, they definitely are, cutting off all driving lanes, making life difficult on the Bulldogs. Great defensive possession for the Redbirds.
Redbirds up by a dozen. Copeland, Chastain, Gassman, Yarbrough, and Adowu on the floor for Illinois State, and Yarbrough gets fouled as he tries to take it to the basket, and the foul whistled against Filipovic.
And just that quick jab step on the perimeter. Watch the blow-by. Watch this jab step going right by Anthony Murphy. And how about hanging in the air with Filipovic right there? The first trip to the line, as you mentioned, for the Redbirds. Boy, Malik Yarbrough, a tough cover.
He's a 73% free throw shooter. Yarbrough averages 17 points. That's best in the league. He averages 7.5 rebounds. That's 4th best in the Valley.
And the last time he played against the Drake Bulldogs in Redbird Arena, 22 points, 10 rebounds, was sensational in that one in a Redbird victory.
Nice pass inside to Sturtz, and then he can't hang on. An unforced turnover. Good pass by Wilkins, and Sturtz just couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, that time at least good offense for Coach Darren DeVries. You see him in the background just clapping his hands, telling his guys to get a stop on the defensive end, as this Bulldog group has been known for their offensive prowess so far this year. The Redbirds doing a great job shutting them down, making life difficult.
That they are. Yarbrough steps out of bounds, and the Bulldogs will get the basketball. Good defense by Drake, forcing Yarbrough to step out.
Anthony Murphy stepping up to the challenge, and he's got a tall task ahead of him. Really, really difficult to defend Malik Yarbrough. All you can try to do is make life difficult for him.
Bulldogs shooting percentage for the ball game down to 37%. As Dan Muller's defensive performance has been outstanding for his team. McGlynn back in. Bulldogs try to get the ball to him, couldn't connect there. Glenn calls for it, goes inside, scores it.
Now it looks like they called a foul before McGlynn was able to catch that one on the seal. Did a good job getting open, but you know the Bulldogs a little discombobulated offensively, just not as crisp as we've been accustomed to seeing them throughout the year, and credit that to the Redbird defense. This 2-3 zone is doing a great job cutting off passing lanes and driving gaps.
And when Drake is successful, they are knocking down the 3-shot, especially at home. And tonight they have only 3 3-point goals. That in 14 attempts.
This is a team that usually shoots it at about 36, 37% on the year from distance. So for them to be shooting under 25%, especially at home, as you mentioned, Larry, very unusual.
In fact, they have 10-plus three-pointers in 11 games this year. McGlynn knocks down both free throws. That gives him 11, pulls the Bulldogs back to within 11 of Illinois State with 12:49 to play.
And if you're Coach Darren DeVries, what you want to see out of your team, not only a stop on this end, but aggressiveness on the offensive side. When you're struggling from distance, you want to see if you can get some easy ones, get cheapies, get to the foul line, especially now that the Bulldogs are in the bonus. Get some easy ones, help see the ball go through the rim.
Redbirds using some clock. Copeland from long range. Foul called.
It looks like they got DJ
Wilkins
trying to contest that shot. Yeah, and Copeland getting a trip to the line here. DJ Wilkins, we're going to take a look. It was hard to see from our angle. Got kind of out early on the contest. The official saying just gave a little tap to Copeland's arm as he went up and shot that one.
Copeland, an 84% free throw shooter, gets 3. Copeland last year recruited for Illinois State out of Community College of San Francisco. Didn't get to play because of an academic technicality, but he worked, he got his grades back up, got the number of required courses taken care of, and has really been a nice addition this year. But really a great effort by him to get academically right so that he could play for the Redbirds this year.
And his effort went noticed by his teammates. I mean, this is a guy who, after his redshirt year, only 1 year with the program, came in, and they named him a captain for this year. So if you want to know who the teammates think highly of, look for the guys who get voted captain. You love to see that type of motivation and work ethic.
It's a great point, and yeah, very, very high honor for a community college transfer. Redbirds with their biggest lead. McGlynn goes inside to score.
And that's a guy that's going to need to step up and pick up some of those points. He's got an advantage on the interior. If he can start to pick up some points, build a little bit of confidence for the Bulldogs. But the hard thing is, on the defensive end, kicking up with this perimeter attack, whether it's Copeland or Evans or Yarborough, they're so tough to defend.
Offensive foul called that time against Copeland. We'll make it against Iduwu inside, and that is his 3rd foul. So with 11:52 to play, Illinois State jumps to a 12-point lead. They have dominated play so far in the second half. Bulldogs trying to make a comeback, and you're watching the Valley on ESPN. Blake Bolden, the director of the Drake Relays, talking it over. They honored Relays committee members here at halftime and had the competition earlier, the slam dunk competition with Olympic and Drake Relays athletes. Illinois State with a lead of 49-37 as they try to go to 6-3 in the Valley. Bulldogs, same goal. Both teams come in tied for second and 5-3. Redbirds 12-9 overall. Drake at 16-5 overall, trying to extend their win streak to 5.
And you see why this Illinois State team came into this season with such high billing, such high expectations. Preseason pick number 2 in the league, and a lot of people thought this group would have an opportunity maybe to get an at-large bid in the NCAAs. They had a couple of tough games in their non-conference schedule. They were just unable to get over the hump and entered this conference season a little lower than they might have expected in the win total, but they're really starting to play well, play together, and buy into what Coach Dan Miller is trying to get them to do.
Brady Ellingson missing that 3 a moment ago, the top three-point percentage shooter in the conference, but just 1 of 4 tonight.
Yeah, he struggled the last couple of games out there from distance, and obviously, what is that? That's scouting. Team's doing a great job not giving him any open looks.
Anthony Murphy a moment ago picking up his 3rd foul of the night. Redbirds spread the floor on this possession, up by a dozen. They look inside for Phil Fain, turns around, shoots over McGlynn, and nails it.
Another thing Phil Fain has kind of added to his arsenal over the last couple of years is the ability to knock down that jump shot.
Fain having a big night now, 8 of 13 from the floor. Ellingson misses on the reverse. Fain's there for the rebound. He pulls down his 5th rebound. Gaspin pulls up. Again, the Redbirds content to run a little bit of clock and control the pace. Drake wants to run.
A lot of patience on the offensive side, and part of that is they have guys that can break the defense down off the dribble drive at the end of the shot clock. Could be Copeland, could be Evans, or Malik Yarborough.
Yarborough is going to be given an opportunity to 3-ball, and he nails it.
So when you have great individual one-on-one players, Larry, that's a luxury for a coaching staff. When you want to ice a game, run it down, especially toward the end, and your players are tired, they need a little bit of rest, you can go to that, a little bit of an isolation, and still get a really good look.
Murphy with the foul, gets foul, draws the foul. And that will put Illinois State's team total at 9, so the Bulldogs in the double bonus on the next foul.
And for the Drake Bulldogs, we were talking about Malik Yarborough on one end. They don't necessarily have that dribble drive guy. They don't have the guy that's going to draw a lot of attention. They rely a lot more on the ability to move the ball on the perimeter, rely a little bit more on some of their set plays. That's part of the reason they're so good in transition. It gets the defense scrambling, but because the Redbirds have done such a good job in the second half getting back in transition, this Drake offense has struggled.
Murphy front end of the 1-and-1, can't convert, and the rebound is taken by William Tinsley. Illinois State with their biggest lead of the night and trying to pad it. Copeland, quick move against Wilkins, who steals the basketball from him. Wilkins got Copeland into the air. Passed it up. Here's Murphy inside to score on the pass from Anthony Murphy. From Bill Murphy with his 9th point.
There it is in transition. That's how you get the easy ones. The ball movement forces the defense to scramble, and you get an open look underneath. Good execution for the Bulldogs.
Illinois State, a moment ago, 6 out of 9 shooting in the second half compared to the Bulldogs' 2 out of 9. That's how they've been able to open a 4-point halftime lead to as many as 17. And Copeland drills it.
And again, willing to run clock because you have shot creators and shot makers on the offensive side. Dan Muller happy to milk down the shot clock a little bit because he'll still get a good look.
Murphy has the ball stripped from him. Chastain comes up with a loose basketball. You talk to Dan Muller, you get the feeling he really likes where his ball club is now. Yes, they struggled early. Thought with 4 seniors, 4 starters returning, they might be better early, more consistent early. They weren't, but they put it together of late. And he says his team attitude has never been a problem. They've always gotten along. They've always worked hard. And now the results are paying off. 5 on the shot clock. Copeland on the drive. McGlynn on the block.
And Dan Muller famously has been a guy that he challenges his group. He always wants them to play the best player, or the best team, And when you look at their slate in the non-conference, Belmont, Georgia, Boise State, BYU, San Diego State, Ole Miss, UCF, they were going out and trying to get some quality wins. Unfortunately, those games, most of them ended up as losses for this group. So they didn't pick up quality wins, but they picked up a lot of maturity. And now as they're starting to get into their role in conference season, they're going to be tough to beat.
Anthony Murphy bottled up, so he pitches it back to DJ Wilkins. Chastain with another rebound. Chastain, as you pointed out earlier, never gets big numbers, but boy, he makes a lot of big plays.
Absolutely, and he's just always in the right spots on the defensive end. Does a great job creating ball movement on the offensive side as, again, this Redbird group happy to milk the shot clock.
Keyshawn, the senior, directing the offense. Copeland wants to take Wilkins one-on-one with 1 on the shot clock, and he nails it again.
Almost the same spot he made his last one. 2 knockdown threes from Copeland on that right wing.
He's got 19, his career best 21 at Valparaiso. A 19-point Redbird lead, their biggest. And again, this was a 4-point Redbird lead at the half. Thomas with the miss, and the rebound there by Ray Adowu.
And again, now this Drake Bulldog club pressing a little bit on the offensive side, getting a little bit antsy, especially as the Redbirds so content to milk clock.
McGlynn with the rebound. McGlynn this year in conference play has 4 double-doubles already, 7 double-doubles on the season. Not there yet tonight. 6:47 left, and the Redbirds in command right now with a 19-point advantage. You are watching the Valley on ESPN. Illinois State with an outstanding second half has opened a 19-point lead at 60-41. Elsewhere in the Valley, again, one game played last night, an overtime game, won by Missouri State, their third in a row, 55-54.
Yeah, low score in that one, and we already mentioned the Bradley and Evansville game, and Northern Iowa and Loyola, and how about Indiana State, an early lead with about 8 minutes to go in the first half over in Carbondale, Illinois. So, Larry, what do you see? You look at those scores. There's not a lot of separation, right? This league has a lot of parity this year. We see it in the standings. We see it in the scores of these games. Makes it really, really difficult to win on the road.
And for most teams, tonight marks game number 9, so we're at the midway point in the conference season. And it's still anybody's guess how it's going to wind up, and March Madness should be really something special in St. Louis. Bulldogs go to full court pressure.
Yeah, I think you're going to get 8 or 9 teams, Larry, anyway, going into St. Louis thinking, you know what, we got a shot in this one, looking for that automatic bid.
It should be wide open. Fain, nice move inside. The Bulldogs don't have an answer for Phil Fain tonight. He's got 18 points.
Yeah, doing a great job scoring on the interior. And, you know, overall, I think Illinois State's done such a great job finishing. And when I say that, I don't just mean around the rim. I'm talking about at the end of possessions, just making sure to go through and finish their shots.
Well, Glenn with his 14th point, but right now he's virtually the only great consistent offensive player. Murphy also in double figures, though, with 11.
And Drake trying to put on a little of that three-quarter court pressure just to speed up the Redbirds. And again, content to run clock here in the half court.
And doing it very well and shooting a really good percentage. And executing extremely well.
And that's the attention Yarborough draws, right? I mean, you get him the ball on the block, he's got to draw at least 2 guys. So what does that mean? Timely cuts, good floor spacing are going to create opportunities. Good job that time by Fain. The highest percentage shot, the 2-hand flush.
Ellingson, tough night shooting the ball. But you can say that for a lot of the Bulldogs. McGlynn missing from 3. Yarborough rips down another rebound. Last time these two teams played late in the year was an overtime Illinois State victory, 89-81. Reed Timmer had 21 points for the Bulldogs. Now, the departed players for Drake in that game scored 76 of the 81 points. Wow. So that's why Drake was picked to finish 9th in the Missouri Valley Conference preseason poll. And tonight really marks only the second game that at this point in the game they're pretty much out of. The other game, just their second game of the year at Colorado.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what Drake fans have been so happy about is the consistency that this team has played with throughout the season, that even when they don't have it shooting, they've still been competitive. They still continue to play hard. Their defense has been able to pick them up. Tonight, just running into a Redbird ball club that, man, their one-on-one offensive prowess, the ability of guys like Yarborough to get into the paint from the perimeter and shoot from distance. Copeland knocking down threes. Phil Fain scoring on the interior, getting himself up to the 20-point plateau. Just really, really tough and difficult to defend.
Fain can't miss tonight, at least in the second half. Ellingson looking for the 3 ball, and he knocks it down, just his second of the night.
And the first 3 made in the second half for Drake, 1 of 9 in the second half from distance.
And Drake, a team that normally will get very close to 10 threes a ball game, with just 4 so far tonight.
And shooting not a very good percentage, 4 of 19 overall in the game for the Drake Bulldogs from 3. Credit the Redbird defense, switching from man-to-man to zone, have length on the perimeter, did a good job, have done a great job contesting shots. Speaking of contested shots, that was a contested shots. Malik Yarborough, elite offense, beating good defense.
Fain and Yarborough combining for 38 points of the 69, wow. The Redbirds.
And that's a consistent story, right? I mean, that's the ceiling that those two have. They're so difficult to defend because of how they complement each other, because of their versatility, and especially Malik Yarborough. Just phenomenal on the offensive end.
Isaac Gassman gets the foul. That's the 10th on Illinois State. The Bulldogs in the double bonus, but trailing Illinois State by 23. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. This was a 4-point game at the half. The Redbirds have outscored Drake 37-18 in the second half to lead by 23. And the Redbirds have shot lights out here in the second half.
Absolutely. 14 of 20 from 2, 70%, 5 of 7 from 3, 71%. So Illinois State doing a great job getting the ball in spots where players can make plays. And for the Drake Bulldogs, their defense just hasn't been enough. You know, Larry, when you're down at halftime, part of what you need is your team to come out and get a couple of stops. And just Malik Yarborough, Zack Copeland, and Phil Fain Keyshawn Evans have refused to be denied. All four in double figures. All four doing a great job scoring it for their team.
And the Drake lowest point total of the year, 54 against Northern Iowa. And right now they are at 47 as the free throw good by McGlynn.
And that what Coach Darren DeVries wants. He wants this team to get out and run. And this is not what I would consider an average game for this team, right? This is an aberration. This is one of the only times, especially in a home game, that we've seen this team really struggle as much as they have on the offensive end. So again, credit the Redbirds, but what Coach Darren DeVries wants, he wants this team scoring 80 points a game. He wants this team getting out in transition, sharing the basketball, and getting easy ones. The Redbirds have just done a really good job stifling that attack, getting back in transition, and not giving up easy ones.
Travel called on Vane. And that one didn't go down, which is a surprise the way he shot the ball. He's 11 of 16 on the night, 22 points, 5 rebounds as well, playing with 4 fouls, but you're not going to take him out of the lineup as hot as he's been, especially with the 22-point lead.
And with 2.5 to go. And how about Malik Yarbrough? 17 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Ho-hum. That's almost an average game for him, for a guy that's had so much success, especially in league play. And I think you talk to this Redbird coaching staff, and they just say his consistency this year has just been so great. His effort has been so great to help lead this group.
And what about Zack Copeland? There's a quiet, 19?
Yeah. Well, Zack Copeland, the way he's knocked down shots, especially at the end of the shot clock, it's been him getting in the paint. It's been him knocking down threes. 4 of 6 from 3 for Zack Copeland. A couple of those just killers in the second half as the Drake defense, once they do a good job, Copeland rising up and able to knock down a 3 over outstretched defenders.
Dan Muller somewhat facetiously made the comment today. I've told our guys, it'd be okay if several of you had nice offensive games the same night. Well, tonight they did.
Right. And, I think we've seen a little bit of that with Loyola coming off their Final Four run as well, that, it's been 1 or 2 guys that might step up and have good games. Same with this Redbird group, but they haven't really had it many times where they've all put it together. But how about tonight? Like we talked about, those 4 all getting a massive contribution on the offensive end.
Anthony Murphy back-to-back baskets for the Bulldogs to cut the margin down to 17.
And it looks like Dan Muller going to call a timeout here just to get a couple subs in the game for the final 90 seconds.
Tinsley will come in, Gassman will come in, and Idowu will come in. So Illinois State about to go to 13-9. They'll take over second place in the Valley at 6-3. Behind Loyola, a winner earlier tonight by a point over Northern Iowa. And Dan Muller will go to 11-2 in his matchups against the Bulldogs.
And a really good road win for a team that was 1-6 on the road, as we mentioned so far this year. Only their one win at Evansville here in the Valley to be able to pick this one up. I think obviously when this team is hitting on all cylinders, when people like Copeland and Evans and Yarbrough and Fain are playing as well as they did this evening, this is a really tough team to beat. And their talent level and their length on the defensive side, really difficult for any opponent.
You look at Illinois State's road record, and there were 2 losses that were really difficult on the road. The 2-point loss at Valparaiso, the 3-point loss at Loyola.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They had a tough game against Bradley, of course. Lost by a larger margin than many expected. Many expected the Redbirds to win that game. But, to lose at a half-court shot against Valpo, and then a 3-point loss to Loyola, not necessarily any surprise there.
So the Redbirds are about to hold Drake to either the lowest, depending on how the last 35 seconds played out, or their second lowest point total of the year. Is Drake leading the league in scoring at 78, and they are going to be held below 55, it would appear. No basket. He got that after the shot clock violation, so the Redbirds just graciously not shooting till the shot clock was down to 0, and now Drake will play it with 26 seconds to go.
But you saw the athleticism of Matt Chastain. Like I said, he is sneaky athletic, bouncy, watching him in warm-up lines, going off both 1 and 2 feet. He just explodes off the floor.
Drake looking for a final basket. Tremel Murphy with the miss. Ellingson with a ball fake, will try it and nail it. Ellingson with the 3 ball, and that will be the end of the night, and it'll be a 69-55 Illinois State victory as they moved into second place in the Valley, led by Phil Thane's 22 points.
And how about the impressive showing this Illinois State Redbird team? Coach Dan Muller got to be happy with the defensive effort, the rebounding he saw out of his group tonight. A +8 rebound margin in this one as well. Doing all the little things to make sure to get a win on the road.
They hold Drake to their second lowest point total of the year. The Redbirds are home against Loyola on Saturday, while the Bulldogs travel to Indiana State on Saturday for their first meeting of the year. For Adam Emenecker, I'm Larry Morgan saying so long from Des Moines, Iowa, where the final score is Illinois State 69 and Drake 55. Be sure to watch our next telecast of Drake men's basketball on February the 9th as the Bulldogs take on in-state rival Northern Iowa. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as our other productions on our ESPN family of networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of the Valley on ESPN.